All right, what's up, guys? It's Calvin-YGO. I just wanted to do a little bit more in-depth profile for the turbo list. I'm just really proud of the list, really proud of how I did at the GGP. If you guys haven't seen the video on YGO's channel, I'll put it over here, and you guys can check it out. I went pretty brief on it, even though the video is still like 20-something minutes long, but I want to go like just more in-depth as to why I picked the cards that I picked. So again, the whole theme of the video, and again, shout out to Julian for getting me into this kind of line of thinking about themes for decks. So the theme was, I don't want to play anything that revolves or needs another card. I just want every single card to do something. So for instance, Call Jinzo is like a big one that you see in like some chaos lists. I was playing it for a while, I just did not like it, just did not seem consistent enough. And then Scapegoat Meta is something that is really popping off in Italy with decrees and stuff, but I wasn't feeling it because it felt really bad drawing one piece without the other, right? So I just needed every single card in the list to do something, every single card in the side to do something, just independent of other cards. So what we have is a very standard turbo list. I called it Return to Basics in my head because I was trying too much. I was trying to be too fancy in Chaos. And as soon as I returned to basics, then like I had to think less, I could just execute plays, and my win rate just kind of went up. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the list. Cannot play Chaos Turbo without the 3 Thunder Dragons, so shout out to my boys, the Thunder Dragons, for all coming down to TJ. Obviously, we need to play. It's a light target. It's discard fodder for the discard traps. I am playing 3 discard trap. I am a big, firm believer of 3 discard trap, and sooner we see this card, the better, right? And then also we cannot play Chaos Turbo without the Chaos Monsters. So we've got the standard ratio 2 Sork, 1 BLS. This is going to be pretty just basic, right? And then in the mirror, obviously, we don't want to play these first unless we are trying to guarantee like a game shot. Chaos Chicken is a real theory, and I think that for the most part, if you play your Chaos Orcs too early in the mirror, you are asking to lose. And then BLS, just a good game winner card. Flip ratios. We've got the 2 Dekoichi. So the Dekoichi is just there to facilitate draws. I have tried lists with 3 Dekoichi, and I personally do like 3 Dekoichi, but with the ratios of everything else for the monsters in the list, he just doesn't have, we don't have room for a third one. It also hurts a lot when this is knocked when we are running 3. And we want this low key to eat knocks so that these guys can go off. The 3 Spy, 2 Moth. We want these to resolve because this is just really good in basically every matchup that isn't burn. And then this is just really good to recycle, our power spells, right? Or our Trinity, or upstarts, whatever we need. And some people are like maybe cutting a Spy. I don't like that. It just makes the warrior matchup a little too rough if this gets knocked. You also, if you don't run 3, you run into the risk of not seeing it when you need it. And one of the main things is I was trying to not lose to warrior, and I was trying not to lose to burn. And then have like a good deck in the mirror. And there are a lot of game states where you just kind of sit on like a bunch of spies in the mirror, right? Or you just flip a spy when they have an empty field and you just start beating them for 24. That's just a really common game state, and I want to have the 3 just so I can see this card a ton. So, and then finally for the flips, we've got the 2 Night Assailant. So I've played lists with 1 Night Assailant. It's okay, but because I'm running triple discard trap, I need the double Night Assailant to facilitate, having quote-unquote free discard. You'll eventually run out of Thunder Dragon. Sometimes you just don't see Serpent. So having the infinite fodder from Night Assailant, especially with like cards like Tribe, is insane. Plus, you see me do it a lot. I just kind of set the Night Assailant pass, and then I'll flip up a Night Assailant, use the Man-Eater bug effect, tribute off for a Thunder Dragon. That way I have a Light and Dark Engrave very, very easily. But if we see an early Graceful with this in hand, I always just rip it, because this always just proves, or this always is just a free discard. He's just like Serpent in that, except he sometimes doesn't come back, but he's always just a free discard. So we love that, especially running triple discard. And then finally, we've got the Power 1-ofs. We've got the Tri-Breaker Sanyan, Suk Serpent. These guys are pretty much best friends. This is second Serpent, so sometimes you'll see me just like discard this when I don't have like a better discard, because I just treat it like a second Serpent, except I cannot get it back. The good thing about this is he's a dark, so I can just banish a light and a dark to make a chaos play if I need to. But Tribe, just really good all across the board. Breaker is broken. Tsukiyomi is here to recycle the flips. Also, to just go with the Snatch Steal, which is low-key becoming one of my favorite combos. It's just such a blowout sometimes when it resolves. If you can take a Seasork, a BLS, a Jinzo, even a Gigantes, like a Grandmark, Mobius, any of the Monarchs are just so good to just snatch soup. And I'm super, super happy just running the 1. Some people run 2. I think it's a little too bricky, and I think it's just that's more of a control thing. Some people side a 2nd. I just think it's okay to keep it at 1, and I basically keep this in for every single matchup just because it has too many applications. So that is going to be the monster count. Really quick, it is going to be 20 monsters. I talked about this in my video with Echo, where this list kind of revolved around a childhood deck building philosophy, where I was able to, where in childhood I was just like, oh, you just run 20 monsters, 10 spells, 10 traps. There's 3 monster types or 3 card types. Just run everything equally. And then when I built this list, it just happened to fall into the 20-10-10. So I was just really, really happy about that. It tickled my brain a little bit just from being so happy with the ratios. But moving on to the spells, we've got the Pot Graceful Duo. Not too much to say about these. I still do not like Duo, just kind of overall as a card. Shout out Calvin-YGO for the Pot of Greed. And then there's not too much to say about these. Unfortunately, Goat is kind of it's solved in the fact that we kind of know that these are very powerful and we should be running them unless we're playing Burn. And then for the mirror, we've got the Double Knock. So this is just super good also with the Tsukiyomi to put down a monster and knock it. Just really good in the mirror as well. I love hitting spies with this because it gets rid of that awkward game state where you're both just sitting on spies, and it just makes it a little bit more interesting. You're running Sangans into each other, you're running like I love running Serpent into things or into people. It's so funny just to like normal summon Serpent, attack for 300, but also like Thunder Dragons, Tribe, Breaker, even Tsukiyomi can kind of get in on the action. These always generally come out for aggro matchups as well, unless I see they're doing like a little freaky like side with a flip, at which point I would maybe only play 1, and only specifically if I'm going first. But generally these just come out for like Dust Tornadoes or Sakus or whatever else I'm kind of feeling for the aggro matchups. We got draw spells, 2 upstart. Have to play, or we like playing the 2 upstarts because it just spins the deck. 1,000 life, 2,000 life does not matter. Even setting them off and getting this back is not the worst thing possible, just because we are going to draw an extra card, push ourselves an extra turn essentially. I was also doing this thing where I was setting upstart when I was in kill range, or when they were in kill range, just to kind of fake them out. because I didn't feel, especially if I had drawn a bunch of cards, if I didn't feel like I needed the extra card from Upstart, I'll just set it and they would get freaked out because it's like a psychological thing. They're going to think, oh, that back row is real. He drew a bunch of cards, and they're gonna panic. Maybe they blow an MST on it. Maybe they blow a breaker on it, dust tornado, whatever. But that is one less, answer that we have to worry about when we, next turn kind of go for the kill. Speaking of going for the kill, we've got our back row hate. So we've got the heavy for guaranteeing the push, MST. I was just saving this a lot for Snatch, actually, so we can put that there. And also just kind of shooting it against like aggro decks, just to kind of get rid of a card from their hand, because aggro generally tends to have a hard time refilling cards. So if I was able to snipe a Ring, a Mirror Force, Torrent, whatever with this, then it was just a good play. Snatch is just too important. Everybody wants to kill us Chaos players, so they're going to put in Zaborgs, they're going to put in Jinzos, like this took a Seasork, this took Gigantes, like just things that they want to use to kill us, we can take and kill them with. So Snatch just has to make the cut. So then, going on to traps, we've got our trap trinity, Ring, Mirror, and Torrent. Ring is just too broken and needs to be in every single deck. And then this is the most questionable of the three. But I chose Torrent because I wanted to have a better control matchup, and I wanted to kind of insulate against like the weird aggro pushes where they summon a bunch of monsters, and also the chaos pushes where they summon a bunch of monsters. This can come out in the mirror just to free up another slot, because it's not that great in the mirror, but I just like keeping it in. Also for the spy play, where you can set like spy torrent. You go chainlink 1, flip spy effect, chainlink 2 torrent to kind of wipe the field, and then you get your spy, and then you can kind of push for a little bit of damage. But Torrent is definitely like the most cuttable out of the three here. The other two I would never dream of cutting. And then this is where things get a little bit spicy. So I know I said this is a very basic deck for Turbo, but this ratio is not super standard, at least from like my research and like what I've seen. So I'm running 2 Raigeki Break, 1 Wing Blast. If I wanted to win the mirror harder, I would do 2 Wing Blast, 1 Raigeki Break, but I want to hedge my bets against all the other matchups. And this is also just a good kind of hedging bet card. Sometimes you're able to see both, you set both, and you have discard fodder, and you feel like an absolute god, because you can Wing Blast their monster away, Raigeki Break their back row, and then just move in for, to gain tempo with like flipping up a spy, attacking them, or flipping to Koichi up, attacking them, kind of things like that. A general rule of thumb that I used for the event, I use these for back row, basically treating them like dust tornadoes, and then I use these for monsters. Obviously, when situations changed, I changed the rules, but that was just kind of a rule that I was sticking with. Obviously, I don't want to Wing Blast a BLS when they have a bunch of lights and darks. I would rather Raigeki Break it. And conversely, I would rather Raigeki Break or Wing Blast like a set monster instead of Raigeki breaking it, because if it is a light or a dark, I could be fueling them instead of putting them back a turn where I'm just ahead. So this was a ratio that Julian, shout out Julian behind the camera, proposed to me, and ever since I started testing with it, I have actually loved it. So I was just really glad that it paid off. And then 2 more traps. I'm running the 2 Jar of Greed. I was never a huge fan of this card, never really ran it until very recently, like a month and a half ago. And let me tell you, the dopamine that you get by playing Heavy Storm when you've got these two set and then chaining these is incredible. Clearing the opposing back row while also drawing 2 cards is absolutely insane. The level of mind games that you can play with Jar as well is really, really good, because you can just set it. If they are scared of it, they will use something on it, at which point you just punish them by flipping it up. Super, super good. And it also has this psychological aspect to it as well, which I call the magic cylinder kind of theory. Basically, that means as soon as you reveal that you are on Jar, your opponent needs to kind of play scared of your back row, or at least blinding your back row for fear of being punished by Jar, right? So let's say you set the Jar, you flip it, they get punished, and then you can set like a Mirror Force, a Ring. Maybe they think it's second Jar. Maybe they're like, I'm not going to blind into that because I don't want to get ultra punished by it. But these are also just really good and easy side out slots as well. And I wanted something that was like an easy just slot that I could take out for other cards in the side when needed as well. That is why Jar made the list, even though, again, I was not a huge fan of it until just very recently. And then finally, for the main deck, we've got the 2 Trap Dust Shoot. So a lot of people are going to ask, why 2 Trap Dust Shoot? Why not just max out on it? We were allowed to take notes for the event from Trap Dust Shoot, but 2 I think is the perfect ratio, because I do not want to see this card late game in like a top deck scenario. I do not want to see this card when it could be something that actually wins me the game. But I do want to see this early. That's why I'm not playing 1, because if I play 1, I'm not going to see it early, and it just becomes like this kind of brick sometimes. But playing the 2, you kind of see it earlier on, and then you have 1 kind of laying dormant in your deck, but it's not that bad. We have a bunch of other cards. This card is just so good going first against everything, just so you know what you're playing against. And this is especially good in the mirror as well, because now you can just, the hand knowledge is just insane. Just so insane for a format where kind of plays can be pretty telegraphed. So that's why we are running the 2. I have tried lists with 3. I cannot bring myself to like them. And even also 1, I just don't like. So, and we're all about playing cards and ratios that we like. So that is going to be the main deck, and then on to the side. So the side follows the exact same logic as the main. We want cards that do stuff. We want cards that just do their thing. We don't need any other cards to go with it. If other cards do go with it, that's great. So for example, Kaiku. Kaiku is just so good in the mirror, so good against Earth aggro as well to cut off their access to Gigantes, which I consider their boss monster if they're not on Grand Marg. He's just so good. And then sometimes you can just side him in just as like an 1800 body if you really want, but just really key in the mirror, and we want to win the mirror. So this comes in generally out. The Dekoichis are out, the Kaikus are in, just so we can play a little bit more aggressively and banish their chaos resources. We've got the 1 Mobius. So again, I did not want to really lose to Warrior and Burn. I didn't play any Burn, but this is here for it. I also side this in going first against Warrior. Going second is like too slow. I'll take a Night Assailant out and put the Mobius in, just to kind of have this. He's just great. Again, this was Jinzo Call, but Jinzo Call is just too inconsistent in my opinion. I would, again, rather have a monster that just does its job. And 2400 is, pretty good, right? And then speaking of monsters that do their job, Zambira. This used to be Gorilla for me, actually, 2 Gorillas. I was trying out just like a more aggro kind of card for Warrior, and then I just realized that Gorilla is not that guy, unfortunately. Gorilla just kind of loses to Minecon, which is what warriors will always side in against you, and then they'll just normal something and just kill you. But with Zombira, worst case scenario, you can set him as knock or Minecon bait, but otherwise he is just a very aggressive wall. Nothing warrior has can really beat over it. I never side these in against Earth aggro personally, which I played a lot of, because Goblin still beats over it. Gigantes can beat over or tie with this to like if this has killed something, right? So it's not great in that matchup, but sometimes all you need to do is just normal Zombira pass against warrior, and that can buy you enough turns to get cards for the matchup. 2 Minecon for the mirror. I also was putting this in against flip heavy goat control lists as well in my testing, but basically Minecon's just there for when I'm going second in the mirror. If I'm feeling spicy, if I'm feeling zesty, sometimes I'll put the 1 Minecon in going first in place of a jar. But generally, these are really good. I will take out the dust shoots, both dust shoots, if I'm going second for the Minecons. And again, the entire thing is to get rid of their value and steal it for our own use. Minecon is also just uniquely good in the mirror as well the later the game goes on, when we can Minecon a Sork, banish it, and just cut that off from the opposing chaos player for the rest of the game. So really, really good card. Just a side option. I have thought about maining it, but again, I don't want to hedge too specifically for any certain matchup. Every single card in the main is just good across like a wide breadth of matchups. And then speaking of more specialized cards, we have Mystic Walk. Burn is a real deck, so we need to kind of pay it respect. These never came in, but I would always at least play 1, just because a lot of tournaments are doing end of phase now. And having the walks is just, it's a little bit cheesy if it gets to time, but it just be like that. Last spell is going to be Swords of Revealing Light. Some people are not playing this in the side. Some people are, just playing kind of kinetic soldiers or just anything else, really. But I just still really like the swords. Swords is just such a uniquely good card in that you get to stall for 3 turns. If you're playing against Control, which I bring this in against Control as like a game 3 mix-up, I can, before I swing into any sets, I can just go swords, see what kind of funky things there are, or they're on. So if it's like a moth, if it's a spy, whatever, it literally reveals the field, so I can, make plays better. But against Warrior, against Earth aggro, against any other kind of weird aggro deck, this is just a good card. Being able to draw 3 cards, sometimes that's the difference, right? How many times have you guys lost a really close game, you see the last card and you're like, oh, if I had this I would have won. And I love swords. I love playing monsters under swords, because it just kind of guarantees a little bit more protection. So I could do like swords, set them off if I have like a power spell or trinity piece engrave, flip it back up, or flip it up, grab it, maybe like normal summon a Sook, flip it down, and just kind of use this as protection so that the loop just keeps going through. And then speaking of cards that are kind of anti-bullshit, we've got the 2 Dust Tornado. So I really, really like the 2 Dust Tornado across so many matchups. This was coming in a lot for basically every aggro matchup, but anything that I didn't know what my opponent was playing, I was just putting these in. I also like putting these in against Goat Control as well, because we already are winning that matchup just from the sheer amount of cards that we draw. Seeing this early, sniping a Scapegoat is just super, 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 super important. Also hitting Decree as well, just because our discard traps are really important. And then just a good 1-for-1 card. We set it, we blow up one of their back row, and then we can, set another back row, right? Kind of quote unquote replaces itself. Dust Tornado is just a super, super, super solid card, and it does fit in with the theme of I want my cards to do something. Other considerations for the side, like I've seen people do like Kinetic Soldier, I've seen people do like MST in the side, which I absolutely hate. I've seen people do like even True Nade. I'd rather just get rid of the problem and not have to think about it ever again. And then finally, for the last 3 cards, we're gonna have Saku. So I love running triple Saku. Other considerations for these slots are 2 Scapegoat, 2 meta, but again, that goes against the theme of the deck, which is we want our cards to do stuff. They need to do a job. Saku being one of the most, if not the most efficient 1-for-1 card in the game, or at least in the format. It's just so good. Running 3, because we want to see this card. We want to stay alive. Aggro decks want to kill us. They want nothing to do with our draw shenanigans, so we need these to stay alive. Some people are doing Widespread Ruin, some people are doing, I think that's really the other option, but I don't know. Saku is just better in my opinion. Widespread, just sometimes its targeting thing just won't work for you. I'd rather just use the Saku on the attacking monster. And that's really going to be it. Every single card, like I said, guys, just stuck to the theme of we want our cards to do things. We want them to have the job that they have and just do it well. So we're able to, use this deck to get first in Swiss and top 5 or 5th place at the GGP in TJ. So I just wanted to say, just a few quick shout outs. Shout outs to everybody at Tubby's CCG where we're at. They let us stay a little bit later to kind of film this because I really wanted to just do my own profile for my channel. Shout out to everybody that I was testing with leading up to the GGP. Like, I would not have been able to do without you guys. Special shout outs to Julian behind the camera as well. He was like my main testing partner for the event, and we were able to, kind of bring it home a little bit. And then as well, shout outs to you guys for watching. We just broke like 1,000 subscribers recently. Broke 1,100 actually, like yesterday. So thank you guys so much. I didn't really post anything in video form, but I just wanted to say thank you guys for continued support of the channel. I never thought I would ever kind of get successful, quote unquote, doing this. I just thought it would be a good way for me to rewatch my matches. So I'm super glad that you guys are enjoying the content. More great content coming soon. Thanks, guys.